Hello and welcome everybody to the Twins Off Daily podcast brought to you by twinsdaily.com, your finest source for independent Twins coverage on all of the interwebs. Season's greetings, happy holidays everybody. It is finally upon us. You know what I'm talking about. It's GripesGiving. We have so many gripes on our chest. We have so much to get into, and we are so happy to share it with you. This is going to be a very hot half an hour here. We have a lot of gripes and we have a lot of energy all just pent up inside of us on this all-star break. I'm gathered here today with two of Twins Daily's finest, Mr. Gregory Masterson and Mr. Cody Schoenman. How's it going, fellas? Greg, what's going on?
I'm currently suspended from driving for speeding, but it's okay. I showed up to work today and said, "Give me a route, Mr. Man," and then somebody else didn't show up, so I got to drive anyway.
The world works like that sometimes. That's awesome. Cody, how about you? What's going on, my friend?
So today was a day full of baseball news with the Twins. A lot of things happen. Willie Castro grounded out in the All-Star game, and that's about it, actually.
And that was Cody with the sports. Let's dive right into it. It's time to gripe. So like I said, today is the first annual GripesGiving, where Twins Off Daily Podcast is going to go around, get a bunch of gripes out of our way without getting into the nitty-gritty of actual Minnesota Twins baseball. So to start us off, let's go to the gripe master himself and see what he can start us off with. Mr. Gregg, what is your first gripe?
Okay, my first gripe is about the MLB draft, and we're going to get into this a little bit later in the week. I'll probably do some complaining about how people react to the MLB draft, but I'm so sick of seeing the little comments that are like, "Oh, drafted another shortstop. Oh, I guess Royce Lewis is on his way out." And without getting into the fact that every player who's going to be drafted is either a shortstop, center fielder, or a catcher, unless he'll eventually be a first baseman, and maybe even he will still be a first baseman even if he is drafted as a shortstop. Okay, perfect scenario. Brooks Lee took 2 years to get to the major leagues, right? Okay, I hate to break it to everybody, but Royce Lewis and Carlos Correa only have 4 years left on their contracts. They might actually be drafting the replacements for the Minnesota Twins infield right now. We don't need to pretend like they're going to be like chasing these guys out. If they don't stick around for longer than their current contracts, yeah, they might actually be drafting their replacements 4 years from now. That's how this all works. Write it down. I'm predicting that Royce Lewis and Carlos Correa won't be around after 2028.
Yeah, what can I say? I guess those cheap lads already looking to shed salary and just trying to get some, I don't know, ninth grader and into the system here to start at shortstop. Greg, that's a pretty good one. I got to say that starts us off on a pretty testy note here. Is this something that you see quite often? It sounds like it.
I mean, yes, it's actually, like, I don't understand how these people, not our listeners, obviously, but these people who are, out and, yammering about how there's too many shortstops. Actually, you know what? Next time that we meet, I'm going to have a list of all of the Twins that are currently on the team who were drafted as shortstops and who are not shortstops right now. But I see it all the time. And we can talk, I feel like they get corrected every year. And then the next year they're showing back up saying, how come they're not drafting their new ace? How come they're not drafting any first baseman? It's like, okay, you also complained about the Aaron Sabato pick. Pick a lane, but also, yeah, they might be drafting the replacements for whoever your favorite player is right now. That's how baseball prospects work. It takes years. And I'm just really sick of it. That's my first gripe.
Love it. Cody, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, the last time a Minnesota team drafted a Culpepper, it worked out pretty well, right? I mean, Galen Culpepper in purple, Dante Culpepper in purple. I mean, there's some things there, but, remember the 98?
There's literally a Culpepper in the system right now.
What? Oh yeah, there's CJ. Oh yeah, they did draft him.
Oh, geez, Cody.
No.
You didn't do your homework.
Caveat. No, my caveat is a Culpepper in purple. It has to be. Wait, did CJ go to, where did he go to college? Oh wait, it's not important anymore. Okay. I also, you noted, or you were talking about catchers too on Twitter, right, Greg? Like people were critical because they drafted catchers back to back, right?
Oh yeah. They like their 4th and 5th pick or something like that was back-to-back catchers.
Yeah. Still, like you don't know if they're going to be catchers long term, and plus systems need more catchers. Every system needs more catchers. But yeah, I mean, you look at it. You have Culpepper, you have Kyle DeBarge, Billy. Is it Amick? Is that how you say his last name? I mean, they're all left side infielders. Amick could easily go over to first base. DeBarge could go in the outfield. Culpepper could be a second base. He could be a shortstop. You don't know. It's baseball. I think people, kind of view it like the NFL draft or like the NBA draft, where you're drafting guys who are going to contribute, really soon. And maybe like watching Lee come up really quickly and watching teams like the Angels move guys through their system like really quick is maybe like ruin some people's perceptions of how the MLB draft should work and how player development usually does work. But overall, yeah, I don't understand having like real opinions about what positions players are playing in college or high school and like where they are drafted. I find it, it's completely unnecessary. So I agree with Greg on his gripe for sure.
And another thing, airplane food. What is going on?
Get Jerry Seinfeld in here.
Yes. No. So that's how it's going to work. We're going to go right, bing, bang, boom, right into another gripe. Usually just unrelated completely to the prior one. So here we go. And another thing. My biggest gripe that I've had about Twins baseball this year is their home run celebration with the vest. I thought it was really fun last year, the fishing vest and the fake fishing rod. That was a good time. That's a good picture opportunity. It gets the fans going. It's awesome. My gripe is, why do they put the vest on backwards? It makes zero sense. Like, it's already a pretty cheap, gimmicky little thing here. Is it really that much harder to just turn it over? Usually it's a teammate that's putting it on them anyway. And it looks like all these guys have never worn a vest or have seen one in their entire life. They go in, it's like draped on their forearms, and they just kind of walk around. They kind of don't know what it is. And then they take this kind of like, I don't know, this picture that doesn't really make sense. Why not just put it around? It's already a gimmick, an easy gimmick in the first place. You're so close to like nailing this. Why put it on backwards? I just don't get it. It gets me really fired up, and I just don't know where we're going with this.
And another thing, I want to talk about the MLB Home Run Derby. So I'm kind of annoyed by how people are talking about the Derby and how they address it. So I've seen a lot of people say it needs to be like a nice evening where you showcase the league's brightest stars. So you have Shohei Ohtani, you have Aaron Judge, you have Bryce Harper. Like, these guys need to be in it, or else it's going to be a flop. And I don't think like that's actually the case. I think it should be used as a stepping stool for the game's young stars. So I think it was really cool that they had guys like Bobby Witt Jr. They had Gunnar Henderson, who is probably second in the AL voting right now, but he's had a great year. You have guys like Alec Boehm, who's been around for a bit, but he's still young. And, you have guys like Jose Ramirez, who is on a Twins rival, but he's been one of the best players in baseball for a long time, and people don't really talk about him that much. I think that it's important for the league to showcase guys who are stars, but guys who are not often talked about. Sure, it would be cool to see Harper. He's won it before. Sure, it would be cool to see Judge. He's won it before. But I think the league was kind of smart. And I know a lot of the players opted out, but I think it's smart to showcase young stars like Witt Jr., like Henderson. Boehm, he's not on the same level as them, but still, guys like that. I think it's important to have events have guys like that.
And another thing, baseball players need to stop pretending to be hot. I am so sick and tired. Why does baseball, of all the sports, need a red carpet event? No, like who is signing up to see like these players show up in their like little like nice clothes, whatever? Nothing against being dressed nicely, but why do I need to see a baseball player pretending to be like some hot superstar showing up, like, I'm not going to say the player's name, but his initials are CC, and he might play for the Twins. It might have been an all-star technically this year. Showed up with no shirt underneath his jacket, which is such a diva move to start with. But also, like, these people, like, they need to be reminded that their job is to go out in the sun wearing pants, roll around in the dirt, and sweat. There is nothing sexy about being a ball player. Ball players trying to pretend like they are models or, famous, beautiful actors. It doesn't work. I'm sick of seeing all of these baseball players dolled up. Ty Cobb did not die for this. Speaking of wearing things, Lou, for the record, the reason that they put the vests on backwards is because it's just easier, taking the easy way out. I mean, they can take all that time to get dolled up for the All-Star game, but they can't take an extra 5 seconds in the dugout to just make sure that the vest goes on. It's just ridiculous. I don't know where we stopped treating ball players like working men and started treating them like celebrities. It's disgusting. I don't want to see my ball players showing up dressed like, I don't know. What's a runway place? I don't know. I don't need to see them like they're on the runway right now. Okay. That is my gripe.
Yeah, keep it to the runway place, players. Come on.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You know what? And another thing, I don't get why Target Field, I'm going to go into this here, their new section, the what are they calling it? The dock in right field. It's the concept itself just does not make sense to me. It's called the dock, but it has about 12 to 15 pontoon seats sitting on the dock. Those go on a pontoon. They're like, I've never been on a dock that just has pontoon seats on it. And it's sponsored by Winnebago, which I did a little research and found out that they do sell, I think they call it marine vehicles or something like that. I've only ever known Winnebago as like RVs. You know what I mean? Like four wheels on the open road, Breaking Bad, or like, sleeping in a Walmart parking lot on a road trip or something. They're calling it the dock, but it's got these seats. It doesn't make sense. The tickets are super expensive, but you get a $30 meal certificate or something like that, which is exactly 1 beer and 1 Kramarchuk's brought from right field there. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal. I get the sponsorship dollars coming in, but I don't understand the concept in general, and it frustrates me, sadly.
And another thing, so speaking of brought some money, I live in Milwaukee, and right now the RNC is taking place here. And we don't need to get into the RNC. This is famously a non-political podcast. We are not political. I do want to talk about the traffic, though, and the exits specifically. So you can't enter Milwaukee really through any exits right now. I mean, and you can't even like go on exits that go on to other exits to get into the city. The other day, there's this park I like a lot. It's by like Discovery World in the Summerfest area. If anybody's been to Milwaukee, it's called Henry Meyer Park. It's in downtown. You can't get there. It's blocked off. There's police. There's I'm guessing secret security, maybe. I don't know. There's cops everywhere. And it's like you can't access these public areas. You can't go on to ramps. It takes like 45 minutes to get in, 45 minutes to get out. It's horrible. I hate traffic. Target Field is much more accessible than getting into Milwaukee, which says a lot. The RNC, but not for the reasons you think I'm griping with it. It's because of the traffic implications, the damn traffic implications in Milwaukee.
Not the damn traffic implications. It's bad enough that the highway shut down, but apparently the dam is too.
The famous dam in Milwaukee that's covering Lake Michigan.
The barges can't get through.
Yeah, they can't.
And another thing, like I mentioned, I'm driving. I am a award-winning delivery driver, and I've got actually a few gripes about driving right now. If you are fans of certain delivery services, you might know that this is a big couple weeks for a certain delivery service. I've got some gripes I need to get off my chest, and maybe I'm gonna save a driver from your behavior in the next couple weeks, our loyal viewers and listeners. First of all, for the most part, if you leave a note for a driver, that stays attached to your profile. So if maybe a delivery went poorly, or maybe the driver could not access your apartment, your house, whatever, and you leave them a note, that is for giving direction for future drivers to make sure that they make their way there safely, can find it, whatever. So that stays around. If you leave a note that's something like, I don't know what the problem is, I have deliveries here all the time, and I've never had any issues with anybody finding my door. Maybe if you hired a competent driver, this wouldn't have been an issue. Guess what? Every single person who's delivering to you sees that. You are immediately, even if it's just subconsciously, you're going to receive worse service for however many more deliveries you have. There is a little part of me that wants to throw that delivery package just into the yard. Just, oh, sorry, dropped it on accident, whatever. Don't set yourself up for failure. Another one, if you have a long driveway or a door in a residential, what are they called, development, that the road only goes up to your garage, which is in the back, and you want it delivered to the front, but the only way that you can get to the front door is to drive half a mile the other way and walk down these winding sidewalks. You're the worst. If you have a long driveway that takes 15 seconds to walk up, 15 seconds to walk back, you're the worst. We have 2 minutes between stops. From the minute our last stop ended to the minute that we get back in the van, we have 2 minutes. And if I take 30 seconds of that 2 minutes to get to your door and back, guess what? You just set me back for the rest of the day. You're a jerk. Do not sit looking out the window waiting for the package to arrive. It's very weird. It's a very uncomfortable situation where you are walking up to the door and there is a strange man looking out of the window, peeking at you, staring at you. Sometimes I roll up to a house to do a delivery and it's my first stop. So I need to put on my sunscreen. I don't want skin cancer. I've got to do a little bit of organization. I get out of the van 5 minutes later and there's somebody just standing there waiting, like I was the one that inconvenienced them. The package will get there when it gets there. Last thing, and this is kind of leads into it, if you can help it, don't open the door while the package is getting delivered. It's much easier for the delivery driver to put it on the ground and take a picture of it than to hand it to you. You cannot be in their picture. The driver can't be in their picture. Their reflection can't be in the picture. The shadow can't be in the picture. Otherwise, the driver gets a little demerit or whatever. So if you walk out the door and you see the driver putting the package on the ground and about to take a picture of it and you grab it, all of a sudden now that driver has to hit 10 more buttons, type your name in, and then forge your signature, which is an extra 15 seconds. If you do that 30 times a day, all of a sudden you've lost 10 minutes and you have to wait an extra 10 minutes to get home to your loved ones. Very long rant. It's over.
I love it. We are touching a nerve, and that is what GripesGiving is all about. And you know what, Gregory? You are informing us. You are doing your duty. We love a man in uniform. Thank you for your service. And another thing, baseball players have way too many kids while they're in the peak their prime. And I'm not making any statement that people shouldn't have families or shouldn't have kids, obviously. But we hear so often oh, this guy is ancient for the game. He just turned 33 years old. You'll be out of the game. Most of these players will be out of the game by the time they're probably 31, probably the average, right? If we're thinking something around there. Most, some other guys probably make it into their 30, 35, somewhere around there. That's still plenty of time to have kids. Every time that I'm waiting to get into the clubhouse after a game, all the players' families are there, and there is just a herd of kids that are just chucking things and running into people, and their moms are like, "Hey, Kevin, come down here." You know what I mean? Like they're screaming, there's yelling, and all the families and everybody is down there. And it was kind of cute at first. And then I thought I was going to get trampled by like 50 little size 2 feet because there are just so many that are stuffing the halls filled to the gills with offspring down by the clubhouse. I hate it.
And another thing, so the MLB draft was, this past weekend, obviously. And, JD Cameron, Jeremy Nygaard, and Theo Tollefson did a great job with it. But I want to critique the actual broadcast on MLB Network. So for picks 1 through 30, I think maybe it was into the compensatory round. Like they had this big event. The commissioner announced the picks, like AM Singer, everybody else on the table, analyzed it, and they did like a really great job. And then once the competitive balance round, I believe, ended, it kind of just like went to another reporter, and she announced the picks, and then they would move on, and then she would announce the pick, and they would move on. I mean, like they completely took like the spectacle element out of it entirely. In the NBA draft, in the first round it's Adam Silver, and in the second round, I think like it's like the second in charge of the NBA does it, but they still like announce the names, like people clap. It's this huge like spectacle, right? It's really like a big thing. Same thing with the NFL. Like Goodell does the first round, and then it goes into like fans or people at like lower ranks in the NFL. But in Major League Baseball, it was Manfred, and then it was just turn the lights off in the building and just ignore the event, and then have a reporter from MLB Network who did a great job. I don't remember her name, but like it's just very odd. Like it's like baseball kind of struggles to like market, the game, obviously, and especially with younger players who are going to be stars one day. I mean, like you should be excited about these guys. I mean, there's a lot of second round players, a lot of third round players who are going to be great players. And for you just to like turn the lights off in the building basically, and then just like leave it to the broadcast to take over, it's just like was a very odd choice. And I kind of had a problem with that.
That's a good selection. And I do want to take a quick minute just to say that Jamie and Jeremy and Theo did a great job with their draft coverage. I had a lot of fun watching. And another thing, while I was watching their coverage, which I said was awesome, and you should definitely check out their work on twinsdaily.com, highly recommended. But I felt like they were trying to break the news of who was going to get picked. So I kept hearing from them before the actual broadcast of who was being selected. So I had to pause their broadcast for, I can't remember, a few different times, a few minutes at a time, because I didn't want them breaking the news necessarily. I just wanted their analysis. And dang it, my gripe is that they are, one, so good and they are so advanced in their coverage of it that it inconvenienced me for 30 seconds, and I am going to never let them live it down. So help me God.
And another thing, I actually want to set up Gregg here. Gregg, do you have any beef with Jamie? Just like anything you want to throw out there?
Yeah, he's the worst. I guess I'll leave it at that. Maybe he's a coward, won't come on the Twins Off Daily podcast. I'd also like to point out that it's fishy that two of our gripes were the RNC and starting families, but you know.
It wasn't the RNC, it was traffic.
And it wasn't starting families, it was just families that wind up in my way, in the way of my physical path. Yeah, so please just keep your family out of my way.
If you boil
have
it
your
down,
family, just don't shove it down my throat, okay?
Yeah,
if you
know what?
boil
You
it
can
down,
pop out.
I was going to say, if you boil
I was
it
just
down,
gonna say-
technically Lou and I are complaining about the same thing. We want to get to places faster, but we can't.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I've got my last gripe, and this is probably going to be a quick one, but it's also about the draft. I don't know when it started, but I know in the past during draft coverage, they had it on so that you could hear the actual the conference call between the teams who are calling in their picks, kind of round robin, whatever. But I don't know if it was this year, last year, at some point recently, instead of hearing the conference call, there's some other guy who is saying all the picks, like calling it in, whatever. Is that Manfred? Was that what it was? Or I don't. Anyway, bring back sort of like you can still do with the Rule 5 draft, where you just hear mostly just random voices call in and say, "We pass." Like I want to hear that. I want to hear that call again. That's a little charming little thing that I've always enjoyed, and I want it back.
I want to hear a team actually pass in the actual MLB draft. Just be like, 17th round. Get back to us in like 20 minutes. We're not ready.
We thought they might. I mean, when the Twins call didn't come in, it's like, wait, where is this Twins call? We were joking in the Destination the Show chat that maybe they're just going to miss the pick and they're going to move on to the next one. But.
That's good. Cody, any other gripes you got to get off your chest here, my friend?
No, I mean, I generally don't really even have like any serious gripes, but I'm pretty content with everything that we got off our chests tonight. I think
sounds like you're settling for mediocrity. Just
I
content.
I'm a big I'm a big Rocco Bobo, and you can see like this hat. I think he wears his hat a lot. Like I kind of like I'm also like part Italian. I know he's more Italian, famously. He is Italian, so I'm just like I'm really like walking in the footsteps of Rocco, and I'm very passive and very just like I let people, I'm basically like a puppet, so that's kind of just how it goes.
Yeah, well, we'll work on that. That's for sure, because this is going to become a tradition at least once a year. GripesGiving. I feel all stuffed on my I don't know what's a play on tryptophan for gripes. We're tripping. I think this is that'll count. So
is that the turkey chemical?
Yes.
Okay.
Gripetophan. We're gonna call it gripetophan. I'm getting sleepy from all the gripes. So I think it's probably best that we bid adieu for this time. Thank you very much for joining us for the first annual GripesGiving. We will talk to you tomorrow, and as always, stay sweet.